It's game time, so get your strap and strapped. The magic sponge doused and the oranges cut, chilled and quartered as we take the field for WCBH Darwin Sports Radio. WCBH Darwin Sports Radio.
Hey, it's Cam from WCBH. Representative Rugby League returns to Darwin for the first time on home soil since 2019. It's all happening this weekend, the King's Birthday long weekend. We've got two clashes coming to you. We've got an NRLW Combine Selection Match. Now, this is going to be between Southern Heat and Darwin City. Southern Heat are going to be coached by Danielle Smith. She is the coach of the Palmerston Raiders women's team in the True Flow Services Premiership. And Darwin Heat is going to be coached by Ronnie Mariko, the coach of the Sisters in the True Flow Services Premiership. That game is happening at TRL Stadium Saturday. Kickoff for that game is 5:15. Following that, we get into our main game, which is Darwin City, who will be coached by South Darwin's Daniel Roach, and they are taking on the Navy Tridents. The Navy Tridents are a Defence Force team. They've flown into town this week, and that game kicks off at 6:30 p.m. at TRL Stadium. Hopefully we can get a big crowd down there, but if you can't get there, keep an eye on NRLNT social media pages because we will be sharing the live stream link, and this live stream will be taking place through YouTube, so it will be free to access. And joining me on the line, James Cashman, who is the coach of the Navy Tridents, and Stephen Taylor, who's the director of Men's Rugby League. Cashy, Stephen, thanks for joining me on WCBH.
Thanks, Cam. Thanks for having us.
Great to be talking with you. And right at the top, I suppose we should give a shout out to Lexus of Darwin, who are helping you get around Darwin during your time up here. Let's start with who are the Navy Tridents?
So one of the key incentives for Australians to join the defence is the opportunities such as sport. Navy itself has certain approved sports that receive funding through the Navy Sports Council, and the Tridents are the representative team for rugby league in the Navy.
How good is that? So alongside your work, there's a lot of activities around sports and I would imagine music and those sorts of things to engage people, keep their well-being up, and this is all part of that program?
Yeah, 100%. So there's a major focus on that wellbeing piece. And one of the things we've actually got in our policy is 5 hours of approved PT. And then each fortnight, obviously there's some team sport as well. So some really good opportunities.
How good is that? Now, in addition to being the coach and the director of Men's Rugby League, can you just sort of unpack what does that mean?
So myself, I've been on the committee for 3 years now. That's included as my first year where I was the WA rep. And then pretty quickly after that, I switched over to the director of Men's Rugby League. This kind of allows me to provide strategic planning for our yearly schedule and opportunities for development across each of the bases. So I speak with the coaches such as Cashy, sort of come up with a plan, and then obviously all our regional coordinators as well. So I'll pass on to Cashy and what he does.
Yeah, thanks, Cam. I'm the head coach of the Navy Tridents camp. It's a great opportunity for myself to develop my leadership. As it's the first time I've coached the squad, hoping that further opportunities present itself in the future.
And whereabouts are both of you based?
So I've come from Stirling, which is over in WA, just on Garden Island.
I come from Sydney, HMS Waterhen.
How good is that? And I can just hear from your explanation there the complexity of this type of project, because we're not talking about a team that's based in one city or at one base. You're coordinating players from all over the country. That's correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So we've actually had players flown in from all over the country. That stems from Victoria, where we've had a recruit fly in, which is an interesting aspect, which doesn't normally happen, but he was lucky enough to fly up and he's shown some real talent this week. We've also had people from New South Wales, Cairns, a few more from WA, and then we've also got local players coming from Darwin.
How good is that? Now, in terms of rugby league opportunities in the Navy, do you get to play against the Air Force and the Army as well?
Yep. So each service has their own representative side. They also have development opportunities. And one thing we get to do as Navy is verse either the Air Force, the Army. We also verse different services such as the police, fireys, whoever can field a team. We're pretty much happy to play them. It's always a great opportunity for us to have that sort of camp and battle it out with whoever's keen to verse us.
I imagine there'd be a fair amount of friendly rivalry between the forces.
There definitely is. Earlier in the year, we had a combined event where it was Navy and Air Force versus Army, and you could definitely cut the tension with a knife. We're both staying at the same barracks, so yeah, definitely a rivalry there.
How good is that? How did this opportunity come about to travel up to Darwin and to take on Darwin City?
Thankfully, through strong previous relationships between myself and the NRL General Manager, Tony Crow, some future planning was done a couple years ago. I've also given credit to Jamie Ryan, who's a PO PTI down in Cerberus. He currently coaches the Cerberus team, and he's been instrumental in that early planning and creating a pathway for those recruits to come into rugby league, especially the Tridents team.
Okay, and is this just going to be a one-off, or is there hope that this can become a yearly fixture on the cards up here in the Territory?
The intent's definitely to continue holding this event. Major growth in the service-related values and traditions. So what we are looking at is including some sort of ceremonial events and then also having a key focus on mateship. So whether we move the event to Anzac Day or maybe the King's birthday, something similar, we'd like to have a little bit more of a push in the meaning behind the game as well.
Yeah, that would be wonderful, and particularly because Darwin's such a garrison town, like there's so many forces based up here in the top end, not just the Australian Defence Forces, but the US troops. And, at the moment we've got Operation Pitch Black taking place not operation, I should say, exercise Pitch Black taking place over our skies at the moment. So to me, it sounds like a really good fit for up here, but just to build in more of that meaning, just to make sure that the community really understands the tremendous service that the Australian Defence Forces gives the top end and Australia.
Yeah, we've been lucky enough to see a few of the jets fly over. In Navy, we call that chari, something we get excited about. And definitely in terms of future planning, taking it to that international stage where we can invite some of the Americans, some of the Marines to the camp would be great too.
Yeah, how good is that? Just speaking of the jets, they're flying around behind me at the moment, which is always a wonderful thing living up here in the top end. Now, am I right that you've had a change of name? You weren't always the Tridents. You were something else before.
Yep. So originally when we started, it was the Navy Titans, but we did have a rebrand. It's a little bit more fitting that we're the Tridents now. And we've also updated some of our logos and some kit design. So yeah, looking forward to some of the new kit that's coming out this year.
I'm a Gold Coast Titans supporter, but it makes absolute sense not to be the Titans and to be something more associated with the oceans and with the power of the sea. So the three-pronged spear that Poseidon or Neptune holds, the Tridents, that makes a whole lot more sense to me. So you mentioned that players have flown in from all over the country. How often do you get together as a team to, develop your game plan and develop those combinations out on the field?
Yeah, Cam, we get together around every 3 months or so, just trying to get the team together. We got players coming from all over Australia, like Perth, Cairns, Sydney, and Darwin. It's a great opportunity for the boys to get around each other and speak about what's happening on their end. Also brings awareness to Navy Rugby League throughout the Defence Force.
So this NT camp is quite significant then, not just for the clash you're about to play, but that's one of those check-in points across the year or across the season to get the team together and just to see how everyone's travelling and to develop that friendship and camaraderie across the service.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Cam. So, from a planning point of view, this is the first milestone with our first camp of the year. It works in that development opportunity. We've also got Indigenous round game against the New South Wales Police. That'll be the first time they've ever entered an Indigenous team, and that'll be played before the South versus Eels game. So, definitely looking forward to that one. And then we'll move into our Inter-Service Cup. And at that point of the year, the boys should be well and truly prepped, and hopefully we can get some more Navy boys in the ADF team.
Yeah, it's such a good message to be talking about. Like if you're a young person and you're considering a career in the Defence Forces, just to know that it's not just the job. There's also the things like league and the other sports and the other activities that are there available to participate in. All right, let's have a look at the game now. So when did you arrive in Darwin? How's training coming along?
Yeah, is coming along really good. Arrived in Darwin on the Sunday, so we started camp on the 1st. Training's good. We're sort of focusing on areas of attack because we got a pretty fit, fast squad. And defensive wise, we're pretty switched on as well. So see how we go game day.
This almost sounds state of origin-esque that you've gone into camp and, you're doing multiple training sessions across the week. It sounds like Darwin City, they're going to need to select a strong team. They need to be ready because it sounds like you're raring to go.
Yeah, the boys are definitely keen. Obviously, it's a new experience for us training every day, so we're hoping to get a little bit of recovery in. But yeah, very much looking forward to having that battle, and hopefully it can be one of those sort of state of origin events where we can have a bit of rivalry every time we come up.
So you mentioned that there's some local boys in the team, but there's plenty of players coming from interstate. Are they struggling with the weather up here?
We've managed to plan a little bit around the weather. So most of our training sessions have either been early in the morning or later in the afternoon. We've also broken it up with strategic drink breaks and shorter sessions. So far, the boys are doing quite well in terms of our training plan.
And I believe that the game on Saturday is going to be short and halves as well.
Yeah, so we'll have 30-minute halves with a 10-minute break, and then there'll be unlimited subs, 20-man team, and extra sort of water coming out as well. So plenty of that risk mitigation just to avoid any sort of heat stroke or any of those symptoms coming through.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I'm commentating the game on the weekend, and I can't wait to see the lineup. But is there someone that I should keep my eye out for?
Yeah, definitely Cam. In the halves, Cameron Bevan. As I mentioned before, he's a very fit bloke, got really good footy IQ, much similar to our fullback, Jono. He's basically very fast, sort of very good footy IQ. He gets around the boys and makes sure they're doing their job. So, yeah, those two I definitely have a hard look at.
And you mentioned that one of the recruits has managed to get onto this trip as well. That probably says to me that he's probably got a fairly solid rugby league background.
Yeah, so Jamie Ryan down in Cerberus, he highlighted, I believe he's a Group 7 player down there. And
Right.
yeah, he's definitely shown that talent since being here. So absolutely deserves his spot, and we're glad to have him.
How good is that? Now, after the game, do you get any downtime in Darwin or do you get straight back to your postings?
Yeah, so win or lose, a fundamental part of each camp is having the boys spend time together. The end of the camp is a major component in this regard, and we'll definitely have a final team bonding session Saturday night. A team breakfast Sunday morning will probably also be on the cards just before all the boys have their flights home.
That's so good, and that's the best thing about being involved in rugby league is the friendships that you make along the way. We've been talking with James Cashman, who's the coach, and Stephen Taylor, who's the director of men's rugby league for the Navy Tridents. They're in Darwin this Saturday. Two huge games happening at TRL Stadium at 5:15 p.m. We've got the Southern Heat up against Darwin City. That's an NRLW Combine Selection Match. So get on down to TRL to see the women play. And then at 6:30, the main game, we've got the Navy Tridents, our guests in town, up against Darwin City. This is representative rugby league returning to Darwin. Cashy and Stephen, thanks so much for joining us on WCBH.
Thanks a lot, Cam. Pleasure.
Thanks, Cam.
It's game time, so get your strapped. The magic sponge doused and the oranges cut, chilled and quartered as we take the field for WCBH Darwin Sports Radio. WCBH Darwin Sports Radio.